much for coming. I was wondering if we could maybe start the proceedings with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you join me in that? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, could you please remember to turn off your cell phones or put them on silent mode? I'm Chris Robinson. I teach at Clarkson University. I think many of you know the participants already, but I'll be bold and introduce them. To my far left is the incumbent, Mayor Heidi, and to my left is the challenger, Chief of Police, Tim Currier. We're joined by, yes. We're joined by four journalists, Benny Fairchild of the Courier Observer, Natasha Haverty of North Country Public Radio, John Fryatt of WWNY and Fox 28, and Matt Jarkow of Time Warner Cable News. The way we'll proceed tonight is there'll be 4 rounds of questions from the journalists. The candidates will be directed to answer those questions, and then there'll be a response from the other candidate. We have 4 categories of questions: economics, public safety, quality of life, and then a miscellaneous category of questions. So hopefully all of your interests will be addressed. Thank you. Addressed tonight. We've decided on the order, and Benny Fairchild will ask the first question.
So is economics the first category?
That's right. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I've already blown my job. Yes, we're going to have opening statements from the 2 candidates, and I believe Mr. Currier.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank Professor Robinson, the members of the panel, those assisting in setting up this debate, all of you in attendance, and of course Mayor Heidi. It's a great honor to be here with you tonight. Our community faces many challenges, ranging from economic issues, deteriorating neighborhoods, a stalled housing market, aging infrastructure. We have an illegal drug problem that has driven up our crime rate, and the cost to operate village government continues to rise. We are living in challenging times, but this community knows how to rise to the challenge and support the things that are good for us. My wife and I have had the great fortune of being lifelong residents of Massena, choosing to stay here and raise our son Nathaniel. As a property owner, I understand the need for fiscal responsibility and the need to carefully work to control balancing what we need with what we can afford. It's been a great honor to be a public servant in this community for more than 26.5 years. I have always taken the responsibility of service to Massena seriously and done everything I could to give back to Massena, both professionally and personally. In my more than 21 years as your Chief of Police, I have gained firsthand knowledge of how village government operates. I have extensive knowledge in village government. I've worked hard, hand in hand, with every department in the village, and I've fostered relationships locally, regionally, and at the state level. I'm a candidate for mayor for 3 reasons. First, I want to see Massena actually operated as a business. Secondly, I want to change the tone of leadership in this community. And finally, I want to change the leadership style in Massena. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Currier. Mr. Mayor?
First of all, I too would like to thank everyone for attending. For Professor Robinson and the panel. I'd like to recognize two people in the audience, if I may. My wife, Sandy, of 20-some years, Sandy, 26 years. And my son, Robert, 15 years. And hopefully, John, you got this simulcast, so my daughter in Michigan is watching this as well. He's right. He's right. We're in tough times. I inherited this village after winning the election, coming back after 28 years being away, to a village I thought I'd never see. I left it. We were all happy. General Motors was on the downswing, but we still had Reynolds, still had Alcoa, still had the Power Authority, the Seaway. There were plenty of jobs. People working in Potsdam and such. After 28 years, I come back and I thought it was a miniature Detroit. You know, but we're not unlike any other community in the United States. We all got hit hard. If you all recall, they signed NAFTA. There was a self-made billionaire by the name of, I escape his name now, but Ross Perot, who said, you know, you sign NAFTA, it's going to be a sucking sound coming out of this community, out of our communities, out of the country. And sure enough, it happened. So, what do? I've come back. I took on the challenge. I challenged status quo. You know, same people in office, same things happening. Walked down the street, everybody laughed when I wrote a letter in the paper regarding the dog droppings on the sidewalk, on our sidewalks, on Main Street. How do you rebuild yourself when you're allowing something like that to happen? How do you rebuild yourself when there's papers and debris all over the place? You know, I followed a car one day. Guy threw a whole bag of crap right out of the window in front of McDonald's. So I followed the guy, got his license plate number, called in the police, and said, I want this guy, go back, pick it up, give him a fine or whatever they did to him. You know, it starts with leadership at the top. We're responsible to set the examples, and then it flows down. He's right, we do have a major crime problem here. But again, we're not unlike a lot of communities that have hit disparity. What do kids do, you know? That's where these guys come up from the city and they prey on people. I saw it all the time in Detroit. They're in the business, and it's not a game. They're in it for keeps. Okay, there's some violent people that come in and play this game. You know, jobs, manufacturing as we knew it in Massena probably won't come back anytime soon. So what do? We reinvent ourselves. We have the water, we have the resources, we have good work people. We've got to get ourselves in technology and things of that nature. But we invite tourism. People flock to the water. So we have to formulate partnerships with the Power Authority. You know, that's our money out there, folks.
Thank you. Now we can turn to the questions.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Ben.
Alcoa is expected to announce its modernization decision at some point in 2015. What are you guys planning to do to ensure that this project moves forward? And if it does not, what steps would you take to help the community reinvent itself following what would be a devastating loss?
Which
candidate? Jimmy can go first.
Okay, well, you know, Alcoa used to be an American company. If you look at the logo now, it's just a blue logo, where at one point in time, it was red, white, and blue. Those corporate decisions are based on a lot of things. The price of aluminum, how the market's going, and things of that nature. It's a crapshoot whether they're going to be here or not. They're building a huge facility in Saudi Arabia. They just sold off a facility in I think it's North Carolina. We did hear some positive news that more automotive parts and such are going to be built out of aluminum. So we're excited about that. It's, you know, who knows what's going to happen with Alcoa. But we have to get our local officials involved, local officials, but it's more of a state, federal level. You know, they've got to make it business friendly here in this state and give them all the incentives to stay. Trust me, the impact whether I win or whether he wins, the impact of a corporation like that, based on us, we're totally non-existent. Those are made at a higher level than we'll ever imagine. That's the true fact.
I agree with the mayor. The impact that we have on a decision like Alcoa is probably minor. I think where we can be very effective, though, is to create an environment in this community so all of our businesses grow. So we know that our interests in this community are linked to Alcoa significantly, and we should do everything we can to support our state leaders to ensure that Alcoa is here for generations to come. But we have to improve the entire economy here. We have to improve the atmosphere in our community to make Alcoa and other businesses want to do business here. I presented a 5-point plan several months ago, and I believe strongly in it. And one of those points are to bring our major employers, our utilities, our unions to the table and get their input. We should be working with Alcoa to see what they need. How can we keep them here for future generations to come?
We have a lot of material to cover tonight, so if possible, could we hold the applause until the very end? That'll help facilitate things. Natasha.